Oh, Smith. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay, great. This is a meeting of the advisory council of the Police Citizens Community Relations Advisory Council. And, let me just get everybody to introduce, at the table, to introduce themselves first and whose appointment you are.
I'm Dorothy Weaver, Councilman Manzi.
Thank you.
Dr. Raul Richardson, Councilman John Williams.
Damian Mark Sr., Councilman C.J. Small, District 3.
Richard Rose, appointed by Council 6, Bess Rich.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm not really here to run the meeting, I'm just here to run the Zoom, but, I think our first item of business will be to elect a chair and a vice chair from among yourselves. And so you can, the chair will preside over the meetings, and the vice chair, of course, will, exercise the duties of the chair in the absence of the chair. So, y'all want to go ahead and elect a chair?
Oh, before we do that, do we have any other members that were supposed to be here that may be participating by virtual and maybe we just didn't identify them? Because I see Chief Baptiste, I see Chief Barber. I don't know, are there any other people that are?
I don't see anybody else.
Because I thought we would at least have 5 people that were going to show up today. I didn't even know Mr. Rose was going to be here. I'm glad he is. Okay.
Mary Ann,
Yes.
they need to have 5 to constitute a quorum. They can still meet and all, but the official, it wouldn't be an official vote is what I'm saying.
I hear you.
Well, right now, we could just let Dr. Richardson be the spokesperson.
Yeah, I was trying to get.
Well, thank you. I'll accept that role until we can establish a quorum.
Okay.
All right, then we'll move forward and allow the proper effective majority to determine who that vice and chair should be. I'm agreeable. Are you guys agreeable?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so how do we proceed, Madam Zoom Master?
Chris, do you have any suggestions on how they should proceed?
Well, I'm not sure who Chris is.
Chris Arledge is the council attorney. He's in the upper left-hand corner. Of course, Chief Baptiste and Public Safety Director Barber is in, and Fred Richardson is here. And I think Mr. Daves is also here.
Well, since it's not an official meeting, according to Robert's Rules of Order, we can just discuss things. We can talk about things, but we just can't vote on anything right now.
Okay. Well, I think one of the first things that we were kind of tasked with doing was trying to, review these ordinances. Now, thanks to Ms. Gauthier, everybody has a copy of this. That may not have had it when we had the public safety meeting. We're kind of tasked with reviewing it and making some determinations when we do get a quorum or group together about what number of things we want to accomplish. When do we want to meet? How frequently we want to meet? Whether this existing ordinance is going to be representative of what we want to see as a path going forward. And if not, what things do we see that we may want to elect to change? That was the first thing we wanted to do. Beyond that, that's what we were tasked with doing. Our objective in just trying to get together here today was, one, to meet the other members of the council so that we can establish a relationship. If the world is based upon relationships and relationships make the world go round, then I'm certainly glad to meet Mr. Rose and get to see Ms. Weaver again. And look forward to talking to some of those other members so that we can establish how we want to meet, what level of commitment they want to make to whatever the ordinance says we're going to define. So I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at this. Okay, so we've all had a chance to look at it, but short of that, anybody have anything that's glaringly obvious that we want to address in terms of frequency of meetings, what level of commitment we can make? Amongst ourselves, what days of the week are good for us in terms of meetings? Do we want to continue to have face-to-face meetings? Do we want to have Zoom meetings? Those are probably the things that we can at least talk about. We could suggest to the rest of the group.
I prefer face-to-face.
I prefer face-to-face.
How about you, Mr. Rose?
I like face-to-face. You get to know the person instead of just seeing the person on Zoom. But, I think what we need to do is try and schedule meetings right now for once a month so we can get on our feet and get established and know where we're going and in the right direction we want to go.
And it's not listed here relative to, you know, how the meetings are to be held. Obviously, this is pre-COVID type of
Right.
processing.
Yeah.
But I wonder, because it talks about having public meetings, but I wonder if we could have some kind of a meeting where we're looking at, you know, how do we come together when we're not having a public meeting? In other words, the council has a pre-council meeting, which of course can be open to the public, but it gives them a chance to kind of have these kind of discussions and kind of share information and go back and forth.
Well, after reading the ordinance, we're under the sunshine rule where it's an open meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever we meet, it's open to the public.
Right.
But from what I gathered from Councilwoman Bess Rich was that we could hold these meetings in everybody's district
Right.
maybe once out of the year.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Because those people in that district would be afforded the opportunity to come to these meetings.
Right.
We have another board member.
All right, so we
We've
got
got a
five.
quorum now.
I think that, it's important that by this is starting off, it's trying to establish some form of, foundation for our council. I think it's important that we, initially need a little bit more often. Because I'm not sure that we're gonna be able to achieve
What's your name?
our goals.
Vanessa Wright.
Just meet,
Okay.
you know, once a month starting out. But that would only give us, you know,
One
12
time.
right, one time a month.
Yeah.
And then before you know, we're in the holiday season.
Exactly.
We have, someone joining us. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine,
Hey, I'm Dr. Raul Richardson.
and I'm Vanessa Wright.
So nice to meet you, Ms. Wright. We're so glad you were able to join us, because now we have a quorum.
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Which council person assigned you?
Fred Richardson.
Okay, and he's right up there on the big screen.
Okay.
All right, representative is in the house, Mr. Richardson.
Amen.
You want to introduce yourself, guys?
Never had a doubt.
So this is, Ms. Weaver, would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
I'm Dorothy Weaver,
Okay.
Councilman Manzi.
I'm Richard Rose.
Okay.
Daniel Mark Senior, Councilman Smalls.
And, I'm Dr. Raul Richardson and Councilman John Williams.
Okay.
And one of the first things we were kind of trying to do, but we couldn't do until you arrived, well, I don't know how you guys want to implement this, Robert, rules of order, now that we got a quorum. Do we want to approach that first? How do you want to?
Yeah, we have to call it some order.
No, you can call it.
All right, so you guys are more of an expert in it. These kind gentlemen brought up the idea of Robert's Rules of Orders to be the mechanism by which we conduct the meetings,
Mhm.
which, while I've been on a lot of boards, I certainly wouldn't be hurt by having a refresher of how that process works. And I think Mr. Moss has even gone so far, do you have a little cheat sheet or something you provided?
Yeah, I have a cheat sheet, I'm not prepared to send it, provide it to you today, but, I do have it, and I'll email that to everyone who got today's meeting.
That's fine.
As soon as we leave here today.
Okay. So how do we proceed, gentlemen, as you two are the experts on Robert's Rules of Order? So,
Well, accordingly, we call the meeting to order, which we have done, and we proceed from there. Since we're going by this ordinance, one of the first things we have to do is just establish who wants to be chair and who's going to be the vice chair. So we can accept nominations now if you want to do that.
okay.
Everybody in agreement?
That sounds
Sure.
good to me.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So I'll go first. I'd like to nominate Dr. Raul Richardson.
You're gonna stick with that story, aren't you?
Well, I think you're the most highly educated person here.
Oh, I've got you fooled already, is that right?
Sure do, Doc. But, Damien and I could help you out with Robert's rules whenever you don't,
That's why I directed right to you once I knew we had a quorum. I'm not as dumb as I look.
I never said that.
And I'll second that.
Well, okay, so I don't know how do we proceed? So we've got a duly made motion.
Motion and a second, so
Yes,
all those in favor?
Wait a minute, we haven't closed the nomination.
Oh, I'm
There may be
sorry.
We still
somebody
have to
else.
identify if there's someone else that might like to.
Sorry.
Is there any other person who would like to nominate somebody? And you can nominate yourself. All right, since there are no more nominations, nominations are closed.
Doesn't have to be official for, everyone has to vote.
Well, I'm gonna make them motion that we accept Dr. Richardson by acclamation. Everybody agree?
I agree.
Okay. You're now the chair, so you're running the meeting now.
Wow, that's even more frightening than it was before you nominated me. All right, so do I now have to make a motion to identify how we're gonna?
You can open up for nominations to vice chair.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to,
Well,
So-
since you're the chair, you could entertain a motion.
okay. I would like to entertain a motion for, nominations for vice chair.
Okay.
Would anyone like to make a nomination? Okay. We have a nomination from Mr. Marks. Do we have any other nominees?
I second that.
Okay, and duly motioned and duly seconded. Okay, no other nominees? So would you like to take the language you used was so eloquent before, I'd like to hear it again.
I'd like to move that we, vote on Damian Marks by acclamation.
Okay.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. So welcome, Mr. Damian Marks, to the vice chair position. We'll talk later about what that actually means, so we can establish some coverage and rules and things of that sort.
Well, according to, the ordinance, basically outlines that, whenever you're not present or you can't be, attendance, then I pretty much feel you.
Right.
As well as the other purpose.
Okay. That being said, so, I'm sorry, ma'am, I forgot your name already, please forgive me.
Vanessa Wright.
Ms. Wright, were you on the initial public safety meeting that we were?
The initial board, yes, I was.
Yeah, I thought that I remember, okay. And the reason I brought that up is one of the things that we were tasked with was looking at this ordinance, which I'm not certain that we're gonna be able to get done today, given the timeframes that we have. And we wanted to make sure everybody had a copy of it. We kinda got it emailed or texted to us at that meeting when we had the public safety meeting. So we need to review this, and the primary reason that we were discussing how we were gonna review it was to establish, one, if we were gonna operate under this ordinance, or make recommendations to the council about what changes, if any, we wanted to bring to the ordinance. The thing that we were discussing just before your arrival was how often that we thought we may wanna meet. And I think we had, from Mr. Rose, the suggestion of meeting once a month, and then we had, another position represented by Mr. Marks suggesting we maybe meet more often. Mr. Rose rightly pointed out that according to the sunshine rule, that all of our meetings are supposed to be available to the public. And then we had some discussion before your arrival about trying to have these meetings scheduled and housed in each council person's district, and maybe looking at a calendar to do that. At which point, I was discussing what day of the week or time would be maybe convenient to at least this quorum of, council people, to make the meeting scheduled for. And maybe if we didn't do anything else, we could at least look at a calendar for the next 6 months where we can at least establish dates and times where we'd like to do it. And then, of course, Mr. Marks then contributed to the fact that, given the fact we're all just meeting, one, we, at least the four of us before your arrival, agreed that we thought the best way to move forward was to have everyone to meet in a face-to-face in this space or whatever space we deem appropriate. And we also might take into consideration that there's some other number of people that are gonna be joining us that may have, different opinions about face-to-face versus virtual meetings.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that kind of, this ordinance, of course, predates any kind of a COVID global pandemic type of a scenario. And thereby, as evidenced by the city council and the pre-council meetings going to virtual, we may have to look at doing something like that, there's some kind of a hybridized meeting format. But I
Mr.
think
Chairman?
right, sir,
Mr. Chairman, I believe since you all are now conducting official business, that you need someone to keep an official record of the business. I believe you need to go ahead on and get a secretary, so whatever you do officially would be in the record.
appreciate it. Thank you so much, Councilman Richardson. Does that mean that we need to identify? Okay, all right. So, Councilman Richardson, how did you achieve this prior to our coming together?
I didn't hear that. Say that again.
How did you achieve this prior to us coming together, at least this iteration of this council?
Well, we needed at least 5 members. We needed at least 5 members, and once we got to the number 5, then we scheduled a meeting.
Okay, well, we have 5, but I guess my question was, how did you memorialize for the record those meetings that were officially regarded by virtue of quorum to be official meetings? How was that staffed previously?
Well, that was up to the board. They ought to have minutes to show whatever they have done in the past. So this is a new, sort of like a new beginning. You got a new chairman, new vice chairman, but now you're getting ready to conduct business. You need a record of any business that you're going to conduct, and you would need a secretary to keep the minutes.
I understand, and that's my question. How was that recorded previously? Was the secretary someone appointed by the city? Or is that?
No, you
It
are.
was a member.
The
It
five.
was one of the members, so it was, in
Okay,
the past, it was either the vice chairman who took the minutes or the chairman.
okay, all right. So there was no need to establish a secretary, so to speak, to establish those
I
minutes?
disagree, but y'all do what you want to do. The vice chairman ought to serve when the chairman is not there, the secretary, somebody. It's difficult to be the chairman and keeping the minutes. You need somebody keeping the minutes as the meeting proceed forward.
Can I chime in?
In my opinion.
Yeah, I'm willing to do that, but there might be some instance where I am going to come late.
Mhm.
I may not be able to make it on time.
So we may need a redundancy in terms of having a secondary person to be minute catcher. Okay,
This Ms.
We could do that when Vanessa's not here on time. We could just say, okay, I'll do it, or you appoint somebody, just take it until she gets here.
all right. I agree with Councilman Richardson's observation, and I appreciate, your willingness to take on that role of responsibility, and I appreciate your willingness to stand in the gap and you can't do.
You're welcome. I got a question for you, Councilman Richardson.
Okay,
The last time the board came together and there was minutes taken, where are they?
you maybe Vanessa can tell you, whoever the secretary was, that's who should have the minutes, and you all can request that the minutes be given to you all.
Okay, with the minutes, do we have a copy going to the city council, for record keeping?
You can. I would think that would be something that you would want to do.
That sounds like a great idea.
And I also, believe that the minutes should be, have public access. The public should have access to the minutes.
Well, they can request it anytime they want it.
Okay, let's make notes of this.
So, you wanna go ahead and do a vote for secretary?
Yeah, let's do it. Yes, please, would you?
Sure.
We'd like to entertain a motion for identification of a secretary for the recording of the minutes.
I will.
I nominate, Ms. Vanessa Wright.
I'll second that.
All right, so moved. We have a duly noted motion and second. And, the language again, Mr. Rhodes?
I move that we close nominations and accept Vanessa Wright by acclamation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, Vanessa. You are now the chair. And, I guess that having been accomplished, I think the point that Mr. Marks is making is valid. We should try to see if we can find out what minutes that preceded our, Genesis looked. Dr. Warren?
Dr. Claude Warren.
Do we have contact information for Dr. Warren? Anybody?
We can get it.
You can get that? All right, so we're gonna need to get that. And then I think you asked another question, Mr. Marks, relative to the minute taking. I don't remember, was it defined in here about, Councilman Richardson said we could make it available to the public, but as far as I know, that's something.
It's not recorded
It's not
in the
recorded here.
ordinance.
Right. So if in fact we want to make, one, we can obviously share with the council members, particularly the ones that have assigned each of us this task, and then to make it available to the larger council. And I guess once we decide these minutes, we review them at the next meeting, review them,
And accept them.
accept them, and make them available to the council and or the public.
Correct.
I'm not sure how we make it available to the public, but I guess we can explore how that might be.
I would,
If you could furnish a copy to the city clerk, we'll make sure any request can come through us, and we can make sure that they get a copy.
I just think, it's important that we, want to start off on the right foot, that, you know, it's imperative that we, what I was saying, transparency. And we need to find a way to, have the public involved in some of, and be aware of some of the decisions that we're making. That way we can get more input. And I think, it's a great idea, the city can find a way, whether we just do a website, a web page they can add onto the city's page. We could post some of these things, that way we can get some feedback from the public. And also, there allows the transparency as well, you know, we can put that out there for transparency. Because, we want to establish our own foundation. I understand the importance of going back and reviewing what the other members or what the previous board has established, but also I think it's imperative that we develop our own identity and we develop, a different approach, because, we want to do this a lot different for many ways and for many reasons, in order for us to work. I think we've already, I don't know about you guys, but I feel that we have already established some form of, relationship, and I think that everybody's working together pretty easily. So I think, that would be a great idea if we could kind of work with the city and see, can we make some of those things happen? As far as establishing a page for the, Police Citizens Advisory Council, that way we could put that information out there and the public can have access to the information.
Right, and presently, each city council member, as well as the mayor, provides like a weekly newsletter that I know I receive, where they talk about events that go on in the community and things that they have coming up, or things that are important, note, traffic pattern disruptions, things of that sort. I think perhaps if we could create something like that for this particular, organizational structure, then we could have a newsletter go out where we can, one, inform beyond whatever the city council members are sending out to their membership. For instance, if Councilman Richardson is gonna be the first meeting that's held in his district, then they're gonna get that by virtue of the email he sends out. But similarly, that email could go out to all seven. We're not necessarily representing one district, we're representing all of the districts. So I think that would be a good idea to be able to have that mechanism. Is that something that's easily accomplishable for the city clerk's office? I mean, you guys are the ones I think that help facilitate.
We could do an add-on to their newsletter, you know, that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
And what about establishing a section for the Police Citizens Advisory Council?
On the website?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll check on that.
And, I know before we mentioned, emails and also, some form of communication devices for the current council. I think that would be important as well. They can go ahead and look into that as well.
Okay. Are you getting all this down? This sounds like a lot of stuff. I'm trying to keep up right now.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. One thing that we talked about and we haven't done yet, I don't know if you have any ideas, and I would like to entertain a discussion about how we can review this ordinance and provide feedback to one another so we can decide if this is the instrument by which we move forward, or what recommendations, if any, we want to make to the council, modifications to the issue. How can we accomplish this?
I think the best way to do it is just, go section by section. That way everybody can,
Bit by bit, take it apart, figure out.
some of the things are gonna be, you know, easily to run through. But there may be some things that we may have to look into, revising. But I think it'd be just easier.
Okay. Well, then the chair would like to entertain a motion from the members to, do we want to undertake this now, and are we willing to do this now to completion, or is it something that we, by virtue of limitations of time and other commitments, can't do? I'm available, so there'll be no disaster that we can do it now. Are you all interested in doing that now? Is that something we can do?
Well, how long is it going to take? Because
I don't know.
I would like to review it on my own first, make notes about it, and then come back as a group after reviewing it in its entirety and having an opportunity to have some extended time to look at it, and then come back and discuss it.
Okay.
think that's a better idea. I mean, if
There's a lot
people
to
haven't
digest.
read this,
Mm-hmm.
they won't know what to bring up. So I'm in agreement with Ms. Wright that let's take it at the next meeting. Let's go home, digest what we've read, make any changes we want to, and then come back.
All right, so if in fact, by virtue of the sunshine rule, there's supposed to be any time there's a public convening, which would be representative of a quorum, then we'd be kind of compelled to make it a public meeting to invite people from the public to come to the meeting.
Yeah.
You have to give 24-hour notice, so, if you'll send us a notice, we can make that available on the website. We can also post it downstairs on the bulletin board, which will satisfy the requirements of the sunshine law.
Thank you, I appreciate that insight.
Mary Ann, can I chime in?
Sure. Mr. Chris.
This is Chris Arledge. I'm the city council attorney. On the minutes, basically that's just writing down what all went on at the meeting. There was a motion to appoint Dr. Richardson to be the chair. It was seconded by so-and-so. It was voted on, et cetera. Then the next thing that happened, the vice chair, secretary, et cetera. You can look on the city clerk's website, and they have copies of minutes from all the council meetings, they can give you a set, and it'll show you kind of what the format looks like. You don't have to write down every word that everybody says, but just the high point, basically.
Action.
Right. And then I would also recommend that y'all read the Alabama Open Meetings Act, which you can probably Google and find pretty easily, because as you are subject to that, and it's got some pretty strong requirements, meeting notice. I think 24 hours is the minimum. It really ought to be a little bit more notice than that, so people can plan to attend if they want to for your meetings. And there's other things in there that would be important to you regarding communications and talking to each other outside of the committee meetings that you're having right now. So I would recommend that y'all do both those things.
Thank you, appreciate that. It seems to lead us right back to the conversation we were trying to have before, which is, Mr. Rhodes suggested we meet once a month. I would like to entertain some discussion about the frequency of meetings, the day of the meetings, what seems most workable for our schedule, and what, if anything, we need to do, like the Alabama Open Meetings Act that we need to review, as well as this ordinance, before we meet again. And how do we do that? So I open the floor to that discussion.
I'll go first. Any day of the week is fine with me, except the third Monday in the month.
Okay.
Will it always be at this time? Or earlier or later or what?
Well, I think that the question being asked is, will it always be at this time at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? And from what I've seen of the various city council members' meetings, they occur at different times in the evening in their various districts. For the most part, I don't know, I'd be corrected because I haven't monitored that closely, but it's usually about 6 o'clock in the evening. You know, I know Councilman Richardson has done it in the evening, and I know Councilman Rich has done them in the evening. And they've done some things that are on days other than the regular scheduled evening times. But I don't know. So I guess to answer your question, are we looking to have our own separate meeting, or are we looking to piggyback in conjunction with the councilman who's appointed as district meeting? What are your thoughts about that?
I believe we should piggyback off of their meeting because
They don't all have community meetings. And right now with the COVID crisis, they're not having any at all. So I would suggest that you do it on your own.
Well, I'm in agreement with that, because if we piggyback, I mean, they don't have a set time where they could last 2-3 hours, and then we would be waiting. A lot of people would be going home
That's a
too.
great point. I agree. All right, so let's just, you've indicated anything but a third
Monday.
and for me, I cannot attend the meeting until after 3:30, 4 o'clock. And
On
for
any
me,
day of
that's
the week?
pushing it. Any day of the week.
Okay, Ms. Weaver?
That sounds good for me too, as long as it's in time after 3 o'clock, like she said to me. That's fine.
That's fine. Whatever it takes for us to work, I'm willing to
So I guess we're talking about a minimum start time of at least 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so if we're looking at 4 o'clock, is there any day that we prefer versus any other day?
Would it be possible to meet on Tuesdays or Thursdays, or is Wednesday set in stone?
I don't think anything's set in stone. We're set in stone right now,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I'm okay with Tuesday, Thursday.
You okay with Tuesday and Thursday? As long as it's not the third Thursday, it's okay with you.
No, that's third Monday.
My bad, third Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have another board member here.
All right.
Sorry, I had an emergency.
All
Oh,
right.
would you introduce yourself?
Yes.
Slide down a little closer to me, Ms. Weed. Give me a little room.
Yes, my name is Tommy Carlisle.
Hey, how are you, Mr. Carlisle?
Yeah, I know you. Just retired from South Alabama.
All right.
USA Health. Go Jags. That's right. But, again, I'm retired and I'm open. I'm here to work and, retired military as well. So I'm looking forward to, doing what I can do for the city, the community. Been all over the world, talked a few different languages, but in any way, I'm just glad to be here. I appreciate my council person, Gina Gregory, asking me to serve, and that's been one of the biggest parts of my life, servant leadership. And I'm studying now to be a minister at the same time, but I'm looking forward to doing what I can for the city of Mobile, police department, the community. I know we all got to come together if we're going to survive, and we want to be a model. That's my goal, to be a model, not just for Alabama and the city of Mobile, for the entire country.
Come on.
So I'm just hoping that God will bless this board. I hope I have some input into it, positive input, but I just want to let you guys know that I'm here for Mobile. I'm originally from Birmingham, but my wife gave me an ultimatum after the military. So if the old saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, excuse me. But anyhow, I'm here, and I won't take up any more time. I know Chief Baptiste, Mr. Richardson, and a few others, but I'm just happy to be here and serve and do whatever I can, and I want to be a team player at the same time.
Well, we're glad to have you on the team.
Yes, sir.
Would you tell me your name one more time?
Tommy Carlisle.
I'm Richard Rose.
Richard Rose? Okay. All right. Nice to meet you, sir.
I'm Daniel Mark Senior.
Daniel Marks, Senior? And I know you. You
Dr.
work at
Rose?
South.
They think I do, yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Dr. Richardson.
Research, right?
Yeah, I'm in the research bar.
Okay, I know Dr. Bethea.
That's right.
Okay, good friend of mine. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
Dorothy Weaver.
Dorothy Williams?
Weaver.
Weaver. Okay. Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Vanessa Wright.
Vanessa Wright?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Marion Merchant, I'm with the city clerk's office.
Okay.
I'm part of the board.
Go Jags?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the background over there, who's really kind of put this all together is Ms. Lana Gauthier.
I did. I left a message on your voicemail, letting you know that I was running late, had some issues with grandkids. So anyhow, okay.
Well, in your absence, Dr. Richardson has been elected chair.
Super,
and Mr.
super,
Marks has been elected vice chair.
super, super.
And I'm going to defer to Mr. Marks to bring you up to speed quickly and succinctly about all that we've transpired since prior to your arrival.
Yes, sir.
So why don't you bring him up to date?
Well, basically, we went through and we voted, of course, like I said, the chair and vice chair. We also are currently discussing a time frame and a frequency of meetings. How often we want to meet, what days work for everyone. So that's kind of where we're at in a nutshell.
Okay, super.
And you have a copy of the ordinance there, because we're going to be redefining that ordinance.
Okay.
And making recommendations to the council.
Yes, sir.
And so right now, we were looking at days and times. So we basically just all established that any time after 4 o'clock would be a good time for convening a meeting, except for the third Monday of the month. And I think we were trying to get it down to Tuesday, Thursday. Is that where we were? I'm not sure where we're at.
Okay.
So we're looking at maybe doing it on a Tuesday or Thursday afternoon.
That's perfect for me.
So everybody so Tuesday's okay for you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Tuesday's fine with me.
All right. All right, so we're looking at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. We also established some understanding about the city clerk being able to make notice of our meetings, which by virtue of the sunshine rule, and Attorney Counselor Arledge provided us a website for us to look at, which is called the Alabama Open Meetings Act, which defines and prescribes how these meetings are supposed to be conducted. She was kind enough to make us aware of the fact that they have to have 24 hours notice and these kind of things. And Did we mention that we have a secretary also capturing the minutes?
No, I'm sorry.
No, we got that.
Okay.
Most of the stuff I'm trying to tell you about,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna remember by virtue of,
Okay.
certain deficiencies I have, but thank God we have a secretary who's capturing that information.
Thank you.
And when she's not available, Mr. Rose is gonna fill in for her.
Okay, Mr. Rose?
Also, we want to, go ahead and, after this meeting's over, I'm gonna forward everyone an email. And
Okay.
that email is gonna consist of basically a cheat sheet for the Roberts Rule, because all of our meetings have to be conducted,
Yes.
in accordance with the Roberts Rule.
Yes, sir. Okay, super. Super.
And I think I'm also gonna send something that may not be germane to this point in our discussion, which is, it was a Lanyap article that kind of described some of the members that were involved with this activity previously.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're gonna try to see if we can get our hands on the minutes from previous meetings as well.
Okay.
And right now, we're gonna, so we've decided on 4 p.m. on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
What discussion, if any, do we want to entertain relative to how often we want to meet? I know that Mr. Rhodes initially suggested a monthly meeting, but Mr. Moss was suggesting that we might need to meet a little more frequently so we can get this really going in terms of, we're gonna make notes on this,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess we're gonna share our notes so that we can review it and make recommendations to the council. Once we have our next meeting, we're gonna have a forum. A forum is established by 5 being participating.
Okay.
And then we're going to make our recommendations and minutes available to the council, and then subsequently from the council to the public to be able to have some degree of transparency in all these activities.
Okay.
So, where are we now?
I would like to make a suggestion, and I know it may seem like it's quite often, but we only limit it, primarily, with an hour towards our meeting. I don't know if there's a way to expand that, or if you guys are open to expanding that, just until we get our foundation set.
Exactly.
But it's important that we meet a little bit more frequently initially, like I said. I'm open to doing it once a week up until we get established. I don't know if that's too often for everyone, but I'm just open to do whatever it takes to get us going, because by the time we review this, the ordinance, and come back and have to go through that, then, that's another week or another couple of weeks that we haven't established anything.
Right.
So I think just to get us on the right foot, get us up and going, that we can meet a little bit more frequently, so that if everyone is okay with that.
So if we would start having meetings on Tuesday, instead of having an hour meeting, how long would we suggest to have a meeting? Have for 90 minutes or 2 hours or what?
I'm open for whatever, hour and a half.
Well, before we go to that fine point,
Okay.
let's see if we all agree, right, about frequency. Is this something that's gonna be an encumbrance or a hindrance for us if we have meetings? Because right now, in the month of September, we already have a holiday this Monday,
Mm-hmm.
which means Tuesday, the 8th, might be difficult for people that may have been entertaining going away for the weekend or something like that. And it would essentially give us 4 Tuesdays in the month of September. And then, of course, we don't really have any holidays as far as I can see before that. So is it, one, do we have agreement we want to meet weekly, at least for the first month, so we can get some of this stuff done? Because we now, with the council, the clerk's office, under some degree of pressure, because they're gonna have to make this notice to the public, so within the confines of the rules, so that they can attend if they so desire. And, it would be good if we could establish those dates now. Or do we think, or is there somebody that wants to entertain something less frequent, like bi-weekly? Or are we all in agreement on a weekly meeting?
I concur with the weekly meeting to get started,
Right.
yeah. So,
You okay with that?
Yes.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, I guess, do I need a motion? Or do we already have a vote by virtue?
No, you don't need to.
You already have a motion, you just have to vote.
All right, so we're gonna have weekly meetings on Tuesdays, at least for the first month, every week. So we
Starting
get
this coming Tuesday?
starting the 8th.
Okay.
Okay. And then hopefully by 29th, we'll know if we wanna go bi-weekly after that, until we can get to a monthly platform.
Okay, and it'll be at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Okay.
Mr.
Now-
Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Richardson.
I hate to interrupt, but normally if there is going to be committee meetings held by the council, they will be scheduled on Tuesday, for us of this coming Tuesday, we have several committee meetings that we're gonna hold at the council. One dealing with street closures and all of that. My point is Tuesday, the council tried to schedule all of its business for Tuesday, including meetings. So your meeting may, on numerous occasions, conflict with the council meeting.
When you talk about council meetings, the council meeting's typically at 10:30 in the morning on Tuesday. You're talking about evening council meetings?
He's talking about, council committee meetings.
Oh. So do you have something scheduled this month on Tuesday, Councilman
Yes,
Richardson?
on the 8th, yes.
What do you guys have scheduled on the 8th?
We're dealing with street closures
Street closed.
Okay.
and vacations.
Mark up to Thursday.
Fine with me.
Wednesday or Thursday, could we move it?
Well, so if I understand you correctly, Councilman Richardson, you guys periodically have meetings on Tuesday evenings for a variety of reasons, but it's always on Tuesday, not on Thursday?
No, it's always on Tuesday because that's when we are required to be. Now, if you put it another day, you may not get the council members out. They'll be there on Tuesday. It's payday.
Okay.
All right. All right. So we're now looking at moving from Tuesday to Thursday, which of course is, we just have a third Monday.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
And it's just for a 30-day period, so,
Right.
if everybody's okay with it. That works for you as well.
Councilman Richardson,
Yes,
what are your thoughts relative to us meeting on the Thursday or the Tuesday for that matter, in terms of the participation from council members that may want to go?
that's why I say if you schedule it on Tuesday, you're gonna have limited participation on the part of the council.
But if we
Because
schedule on
we're gonna be
Thursday, we may have,
Yeah,
Okay.
you stand a good chance of having participation.
okay. All right. And Madam Secretary?
So it's still gonna be on Tuesday now.
That's gonna be on Thursday.
So
Thursday.
it's gonna be on Thursday.
Okay, that's
They bumped
what I'm
us.
trying to get
They
clarified.
bumped us.
4 p.m. Thursday.
Got it.
Okay.
Same time though.
Beginning on the 10th.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 p.m. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It'll be every Thursday for the month of September. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay,
And that's, starting on the 8th.
okay.
Starting on the 10th.
10th, that's right.
Thursday's the 10th.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's like 10.
10, 17.
Will y'all be
Mr.
meeting?
Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead and start on that.
Yes,
Mr.
sir, Mr.
Chairman,
Council.
I believe, Assistant City Clerk can help you all also with parking.
Yes, we discussed that with Ms. Gauthier. She actually tried to send that out, but I didn't make that
Okay, all
notice.
right. All right.
I'm on it. Thank you, Councilman Richardson. That what Councilman Richardson's alluding to is that Ms. Gauthier was gonna send out a notice to all of us. She may have sent the email out after I spoke to her, suggesting that you can park in the lot just behind on, I guess it's on Church Street there.
Church Street, directly behind the building, the
Right.
smaller lot, you can put a code in and park for free.
Oh, okay,
All
okay,
right.
super.
So thank you, Councilman Richardson. I
Do
consider
we
that.
need a tag or anything?
No,
No,
you
no.
have to go to the machine and
Put a code in?
put in numbers.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just parked over at the Civic Center.
Oh, okay,
But now you'll be closer.
yes.
Okay.
I don't mind walking.
We need to wrap it up. Okay, so we'd like to entertain a motion to confirm the meeting times and dates. All right?
Okay.
I think we're all in agreement.
9?
September 10th.
That's right.
So Thursdays, we're gonna meet weekly. On Thursdays at 4 p.m., beginning on the 10th
That's correct,
of September.
that's correct.
Okay.
Okay?
And I'm passing out, Lana found some minutes, from the previous board.
Thank you so much.
Pass those out.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
So, I'd like to ask, since you guys are being so kind and hospitable to us, what does this represent to impacting your lives by us having our meetings on Thursdays at 4 o'clock in terms of the city clerk's support staff being available to us?
After this meeting, you're pretty much gonna be on your own unless you want to do Zoom. We want you to be independent, so, Thursdays will be fine, you know.
So we can at least get you guys to stay with us at least for a week or two till we get going?
Sure, of course.
All right. So that being said, I really don't want to keep you all here much past 5 o'clock. I want to be sensitive and empathetic to that. Help me, folks. What else should we be discussing now? And how do we want to move forward?
Go ahead and make our vote official on the meeting time. And then once we do that, I think it's important that we establish some goals, that we need to achieve when we come back to our next meeting. Like one, for instance, everyone review the previous ordinance or the ordinance that's in place. That's one goal. That way we can kind of go through some of these things and won't be held up.
Right, we can move more expeditiously through it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, the chair would like to entertain ideas about how soon we can offer feedback about our review of the ordinance prior to our meeting scheduled for the 10th, so that we can have that pretty much assembled and we'll be able to go through it a little bit more quickly when we do meet on the 10th. Is this something that you guys think we can get done maybe before Labor Day weekend in terms of emailing it all back to Ms. Gauthier, then her sharing everybody's responses? And then we can assemble, on the 10th with those things already reviewed? Is that doable? What are your thoughts?
Well, we also gonna have to have the council input on our, on the changes or any modifications to the ordinance as well.
Right, but we won't be able to do that until we meet on the 10th.
Right.
So if everybody was able to submit their review of the ordinances in the next week, then when we come together, we could then assemble those modifications and present them to the council so they can review them by their meeting on the Tuesday following or soon thereafter.
With everybody's contact information.
Submit to the clerk.
That's what I was thinking. Everything's been going through Ms. Gauthier. I don't know, Ms. Gauthier, is that acceptable with you? Okay. Thank you, Ms. So we're gonna mark this up and,
Gotta make one more copy.
exchange it, I guess, into a big gumbo, so to speak. And then when we come together on the 10th, be able to review everybody's notes and make changes to it, that we can make a recommendation to the council. Ms. Gauthier, what access or understanding of all do you have relative to Google Docs? Google Docs.
I've used it a little bit personally, but I don't know if it's compatible with the city system.
Well, what about tracking changes on a Word document?
Like a red line copy, yes,
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
do that,
So if
So
you,
if y'all wanna start with one, since we've all been emailing anyway, start with that one Word document,
yes,
and then do changes.
then we can make changes to the document
Right.
by each member of the council. Then we can all see which change was recommended, so when we come back, we can see if there's some duplication or if there's something that we can singularly agree on that'll make it easier. We'll be looking at one doc together.
Now, do you want the document to flow between y'all and each person edit it, individually?
Well,
Or
if you,
want to submit changes to me and then for me to redline?
I was hoping to make it even simpler for you. If you submit us a document, a Word document of the ordinance, and then we all go into that single document. So let's say, for instance, Mr. Moss highlights his in yellow, and Ms. Weaver does hers in green, whatever. We could see everybody's adjustments on a single doc, instead of having to go back and forth, and then you see it all in a single place. So then when we came back, we're looking at one document, but we can see each person's recommendation in terms of modification.
That's fine.
Is that something that makes it kind of simple for us all?
Yes.
Mr. Rose, what do you think?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Everybody's in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a date.
Just need to make sure we can do that from a legal standpoint, for modifying, we're redlining the old ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
So we're not really having a meeting.
Right.
I don't know, I defer to council. Does that sound acceptable to you, Mr. Aldridge?
Well, I want y'all to, I'm the city council attorney here, so I can't be y'all's attorney as well, but I can give some general hints. you know, redlining a document doesn't change it. And so if y'all want to do that and make a proposal to the city council, there would be nothing wrong with that.
Okay. We're just trying to track the changes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
let me say that I'm chairman of the Public Safety Committee, and your committee falls under the purview of my assignment. So I called the council together for us to revise the ordinance. The council decided after a long discussion that we would not revise any portion of the ordinance, but allow you all to have a chance and make you revise your own ordinance in the way that it'll best fit you. So what I would suggest to you all, as you read that ordinance, make sure the first thing you do is have an understanding of your mission. What is the mission? What it is that we want you to do? And if the order, and then look at how that ordinance can help you carry out your mission. And if something in there that does not lend toward you carrying out your mission, y'all need to recommend we take it out. And those things that's in there that's going to help you carry out your mission, you need to build from and stay with that. You don't need anything in the ordinance that's going to take away from you carrying out your responsibility. So as you read the ordinance, then you need to figure out how is this going to help me to carry out my mission. Because the first thing you got to figure out how it is you're going to carry out your mission. So the ordinance may or may not, after you read it, assist you in carrying out your mission with all it is requiring you to do. You take a look at that and you decide, is this going to help me in carrying out my mission? And that's what you need to redline. Whatever it is that will not help you in carrying out your mission should be in there.
Okay, thank you. All right. As the chair, I'd like to entertain this idea of how much longer would you guys like to go on into this meeting? I mean, it's 5 o'clock now. Are you guys willing to stay assembled for another 10 minutes, 30 minutes? I don't want to presume that we're going to. Notice, she's going to give us 5 more minutes. Thank you, Ms. Reed. I appreciate that. And that's why I'm asking the question, because I don't want to presume that, you know, nobody has anything else to do, but I know we've got quite lofty goals and ambitions, and I refer back to Vice Chair Moss. How do we even establish our goals? I think right now the goal we have is, 1, we've established a date and a time. 2, we've established that we're going to be tagging on to some of the newsletters, maybe looking at getting some feedback about whether we're going to have our own web presence in terms of getting people notice. And furthermore, we've decided that we're going to figure out how to email and adopt this document so we can make recommendations on it. Mr. Councilman Richardson has pointed us towards the mission and vision of the genesis of how the document came to be and this organization came to be. And I thank the clerk's office for providing us, you know, the contact information as well as minutes. And of course, we still have already decided, we've established quite a bit we're going to do today. We're looking at, I feel safe already.
They say it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Is there some other goal that we want other than trying to get this ordinance under control?
Well, we can bring that up on discussions, or just to forward to you, this is what we need to address at the next meeting.
All right, so.
Instead of just sitting there thinking what we need to do, we can go home and think about it and then send it to the chair and say, this is what we need to discuss.
Well, to answer your question also, how do we achieve that? The best way to achieve it is, for me, speaking personally for me, I understand the community and their needs. So once you understand what the community needs and kind of how you cater to their needs through our council, then to make those changes or modifications will be pretty easy.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it.
Have we had a termination of the Zoom
I think Ms. Gregory wants to chime in. I'm trying to get her. Gina, are you there?
Okay, so short of Ms. Gina Gregory coming on, is there anybody who have anything to add to what Mr. Rose and Ms. Marks have said?
And when I say community, I also mean police officers as well, because we are one community, and they're part of our community. So
how do you suggest we achieve that?
well, I mean, we have to look at some of the things that's taking place in our city, and how do we address some of those issues when things come up.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, it sounds like what you're suggesting is that all of us should give some input to what agenda items might be things that we're going to discuss at our next meeting, besides just the ordinance review and things of that sort. Is that where you're going in terms of?
Well, somewhat along that line, but the things that's in this ordinance, like Councilman Richards stated, you know, in order for us to be able to achieve our mission, we need to make sure we have all the necessary tools. And for us to have the necessary tools, we need to make sure that everything that's in our ordinance that we can do, and we have the tools to achieve our mission. And so with that said, you know, it's important that we think about the officers, the community, the residents, I mean, everything as a whole, and understand how can we cater to those sectors or that population within this ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how you're going to have to approach this.
Okay. I'm agreeable. Anybody have any input on that?
Well, I concur with that too.
So how would you like to offer us a mechanism by which we can communicate that, so when we come together next week, everybody's just gonna, all right, so essentially what I'm looking at is we're gonna have a single document, which is an ordinance.
Okay, right.
That Ms. Gauthier is gonna send us, and we're gonna redline, mark up, et cetera.
Okay.
Those things that Mr. Mark.
Hey, Gina, I don't know why you're not coming through, but
The beliefs,
let
et
me put
cetera.
you on
I
speakerphone
think
and,
based upon each of your
Uh-huh.
representation for those specific districts, that somehow or another you're gonna have to glean that information to make it available to us, and then we can, I guess, establish what those priorities are. Is that Ms. Gregory on the
yeah,
line?
she'd like to, I got her on speakerphone. Go ahead, Gina.
Well, hey, everybody. I got in a little late and tried to get on Zoom, and it would not let me on. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can, Gina.
Okay. I'm watching you. I just can't hear myself talking to you because there would be too much feedback. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it and appreciate all the work that you have signed up to do for us. Good to see Tommy come in. Tommy is my appointee.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
he is the best. If you don't know Tommy, you will grow to love him. He is wonderful, and since he's retired, I have been taking advantage of his extra time. So thank you, Tommy. Just wanted to say a couple of things. Fred had mentioned that we had a very long discussion recently in our Public Safety Committee meeting to try to decide how to move forward with this advisory council. And we finally came to the conclusion that we have an ordinance in place. So it was perfectly fine for you all to go ahead and begin meeting. For some council members, the current ordinance is perfectly fine and they don't want to see any changes. We had one that was an amended version that some council members thought might be a little bit better. And those two ordinances, I believe I sent to Tommy, and you all may have seen those. So I just want you all to remember that we want your input, but take a look at those two ordinances and you can see where the council was coming from. Your mission is certainly there, I think, in black and white for you. We want you to work with the community. We want you to work with the police department and make improvements. But I don't believe your job as a council is to come back and make wholesale changes in the ordinance. We want to hear from you, but at the end of the day, it's the council's decision, and I hope you all are going to be willing to continue on, whether we make a whole bunch of changes or not. We want you to serve, and we want what's best for, everybody. But again, I just thank you all for coming forward and taking the time to do this. I know it's a lot of time out of your busy schedule, and it can certainly be thankless. So we just look forward to hearing from you, and I appreciate what Fred said about our meetings. We do have a lot of our committee meetings on Tuesdays. following our council meetings, and our days can get pretty long. So you probably would not be able to, get in your meetings on Tuesdays. So Thursdays probably will be the best day. So, all of the council members are ready and willing to work with you. We want this to be a great model, as you all have talked about. So I think power on. Let's move forward and see what we come up with.
Thank you, Councilman Gregory. But I only have one ordinance. I didn't compare the one I got at the public safety meeting with the one that the city clerk's office just offered me. But is there another ordinance that I'm not in possession of?
Probably so. There was an amended version that was sent around to the council members that we were also looking at. So Lana and Marianne might be able to find that one for you, so you can take a look at it.
We'll try to find it.
Okay.
Email it to you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would just like to comment. Good evening, Gina.
Hey, Fred.
Okay, the council turned it down. The council decided not to use the amended version. So it's no need of y'all sending that back to us. I called a meeting just to look at the amended version. The council said no. So if the council said no to the council, it's gonna be no to you. There's no need of you sending that back to us. So it
wouldn't hurt to take a look at it, because the amended version was a little more watered down from the current ordinance. So, it doesn't hurt to look at it, but Fred is correct. We were discussing the amended ordinance, and we finally, at the end of the day, said, look, we've got a current ordinance in place. Let's let this advisory council move forward.
Right.
All right. Ms. Weaver's gonna be docking out on us in a few minutes.
Yeah, and thank you, Marianne and Lana, for working with everybody.
So can we just talk about what the actionable items are for September 10th? Madam Secretary, would you like to just review what we discussed so that we can all be on one accord as we get ready to head on to our separate ways?
Okay, so the last thing was, we discussed the amended ordinance, that it was turned down by the council. Let me go back, so I'm going backwards. So we talked about how to achieve our issues. So we're going to think about the citizens, the communities, and the officers within the community, how to establish our goals. Fred Richardson talked about how to understand our mission, where we're looking at the ordinance and we're making some recommendations. We talked about using a Word document in order to make the annotation in the original ordinance. We talked about how soon can we offer feedback to the ordinance, and we're going to do it by email and give it to the clerk. So it's going to be one submission where all of us make the annotations. We received previous minutes from the original board members. We established we haven't established a location where we are going to be meeting.
Good point. And you know what, and I apologize, because I guess I just presumed that we meet here, at least for the first meeting. Madam Clerk, City Clerk, is that acceptable?
That's acceptable.
Particularly if we can get them out of here by 5 o'clock so they can go home to their families.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, so we're going to meet every Thursday, and that's going to be 4 o'clock for the first month, and then we will talk about reducing the time if we are moving at a steady pace with our mission. And that is basically it.
Well,
the major part of it.
Okay, and we also talked about conducting the meeting within the discourse relative to Robert's Rules of Order.
Yes.
We did establish a secretary, a chair, and a vice chair. And so you got all that. And the only other thing I think we really need to do is, I'd like to give all of you I don't know if I wanna say it on a Zoom call, but I'm gonna make sure you have my phone number, because it's not on this contact sheet. So in the event that we need to, reach out to me or give me a heads up or something, you can have it. It's, 508-6828. The email is fine. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, can I add one more thing?
508?
6828. Yes, sir, Ms. Aldridge.
If I was y'all, I don't know if your emails are public records or not, but if I was y'all, if you're gonna be communicating by email, I would create a standalone email address that's used just for this business, just in case, so it doesn't, if you ever had to produce that for any reason, it wasn't all mixed up with your personal emails and stuff.
I appreciate that very much, Mr. Aldridge. Can we make that happen?
I don't believe we can provide a
I mean,
phone
not through
email.
the city, but it could
You
be
probably need
Gmail
to
or
email it.
whatever.
Just a different email account.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not gonna be an official city deal, but just so it's separate from your personal business.
Well, we thank you for that input, and I agree, and that's protection. I certainly can afford myself that insulation. But we have tasked the city clerk's office with identifying whether or not we might have a separate website. So if in fact we had a website for this council, we could then have a website that had an email address that said District 7654321 as the email address to that website, if in fact we were deemed to be having a site for the public.
I'll have to check on that.
So if we check that out, we could end up having a Dorothy@council website. So
If that
might
can be done, I'm just saying you need a separate one.
I agree, and I'm just tagging that on to more work with the clerk's office to change for us. Okay, fair enough, good point.
I just want to add one thing also before we adjourn. Each one of us were selected for a reason. Our reason, each one of us brings something different. Through our experience, through our different exposure we have in the community, or different things we've been through. So with that said, be mindful of those things whenever you try to review the ordinance and figure out which way is better, how can we approach this thing, and establishing some form of format that's going to work for both the officers, the police, the community, and also for our board, for us to do what we need, what's necessary for us to work. I think it's important that we think about those things, because I know Mr. Carlisle, for instance, with the experience he had, Dr. Richardson, Mr. Rose, everybody brings something different, a different perspective. So just be mindful of that whenever we sit down and make these revisions or red lines that we're going to present. And so I know that's something that you asked me earlier, so I wanted to kind of put that out there.
Yes, I'm gonna make a note of that. Thank you. All right, as we try to adjourn, anybody else have anything they want to add, or a question to be asked, or something that we may have missed? I want to afford everybody a chance. We'll start with Madam Secretary. Do you have anything, questions, observations? Mr. Carlisle?
I'd just like to piggyback on what Mr. Marks was saying. If we come up with whatever ideas for our district, I hope that we can all sit down and work as a team. You may have some solutions for my ideas, and again, like you said, there's some uniqueness in every district, and we need to focus mainly. First of all, let me say this. Let's go home, let's digest this, and make sure that we're all on one accord. And then afterwards, I like again what he's saying. Let's go ahead. Let's move. Let's not just sit on this and linger on this, because I know it's important to the council. I know we're not going to change. We're not lawyers or council people. So our goal right now is input for our council people, so that they can understand what's unique and what's needed in each and every district right now. So again, let's take this seriously, very seriously, and let's really chew on it, digest it, and come back next week as a team, with an idea. Everybody bring something to the plate.
Okay, Ms. Week? I'm sorry. You good? Ms. Moss?
No, I just want to say, have someone that would make, versus or not.
Robert Gill, 859 call. One of the questions that I have with the open meetings, how is the public going to find out? I was fortunate to pick up a lanyard and see it in there. It's not getting to the community.
Well, and that's a great observation, and we tried to address that from the onset. The city clerk, legal counsel for the has advised us of what the rules of conducting these open meetings were. We weren't even certain we were going to have an open meeting today. We weren't even scheduled to have a quorum because that would have invalidated any public meeting kind of necessity. And we've already identified the dates. So we're going to be making that information available by virtue of the individual district city council person's current email distribution, as well as what other public mechanisms the council's made available to us. And we've already identified the dates for these meetings, so we're going to make that more public.
How would one go about, become a part of this committee, become a part of it, so that just other than the 7 of you, or the 8 of you, what if I wanted to become involved, and I want some other people to become involved? How do we go about, getting the information to get this information?
The dissemination of information is going to be accomplished by virtue of people attending the public meetings and the public notice that precedes the meetings being scheduled. In terms of the participation in the roles that we currently occupy, these roles are designated, specified, and assigned by virtue of the ordinance created by the city council, which at this moment in time does not make a provision for additional members being added to it. We can consider that as an observation being made by the public that would maybe be something we might recommend to the council, but right now we're operating under the current ordinance.
So we have like a public, question after, let me say, when you have like public questions, so if a meeting comes to the end, if they've got a question, would they be able to ask the question to the council directly? How would we go about doing it? Is there a mechanism?
We're establishing all that now. We hope to have that available by the time we have our first meeting and that information being shared with the public. I don't know if any of the other council members want to offer a perspective on that.
Yes, let me say one thing. When they have these, council meetings, they always have a public opening that you can go forward and ask questions. And I'm certain that we will be doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
We will be having it, I don't know when, either at the beginning or at the end, that we'll ask for your input on stuff. So that's how you'll become involved.
Well, the reason I was asking, because you hadn't mentioned anything about public input. You would, at all, since I've been here, it's just 4.
Well,
So I wanted to ask, that's why I wanted to ask the question, so that I would be able to get some clarity, so I wouldn't be at a fault. I appreciate it.
You want to respond to that, Mr. Moore?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, what was it? Yeah, we, I don't know if it came in a little late, but we did discuss that, because one thing that I'm very passionate about is, transparency. We've been trying to figure out ways that we can have figure out different platforms and ways that we can have the public involved. Because we know that the community is hurting, we understand that some of the issues that are taking place throughout our city and also other cities. So we're trying to find a way that we could, also cater to the officers and also cater to the citizens as well, because your voice is important to us. And I can promise you that we're gonna set up different, platforms or different arenas where you guys can come and speak and have your voices heard. Because that's important to me, and I'm quite sure the other council members, they share the same, feeling that you have.
Well, that's the most important part, to know that if I come, I'll be heard and I'll be responded to.
Well, not to cut you off, but to echo the sentiment just expressed by Mr. Marks, we also, by virtue of the fact that you don't know this, you probably didn't hear this, we've already explored how we make even our minutes available to the public. So we're not just talking about having the meeting made available to the public by virtue of the Sunshine Law, we're talking about also making the minutes available to the public as well. So this way, once the minutes are approved, after our secretary or other designated person has recorded them, we're gonna make them available to the public so they can see what the conversations are that we're having, not just the city council as well. So we have considered those things. I do appreciate your input on
I appreciate that you asked the question.
And one other thing I want to add to that, Dr. Richardson brought this up as well. Him and I were talking about this earlier, also with the council. One thing that we're trying to do is set up a website or web page. We don't know if it's going to be piggyback off the city or it's going to be a standalone. But one thing that we would like to see is some kind of platform, a social media platform where the public can reach out to us with questions and concerns. If there's things going on in your community, you can notify us and we can address those. So we're taking all that into consideration, but right now, our primary goal is to try to get our foundation set within how to operate to benefit you and also the officers that within our community.
And to finalize this kind of, I don't want to not afford other people a question or opportunity, but it's also important to note that we're operating in very specific times relative to the global pandemic. So this idea of whether we operate in a public forum or we operate in a virtual forum, we're trying to explore all of those things right now at this moment in time. And as we try to get those things ironed out, we're going to make sure that everyone is aware of it.
I took notes, so thank you.
Okay. I didn't realize we would be having questions, but I've actually
got here for y'all.
I'm sorry, sir?
I've actually got y'all here. I brought a Bible.
Oh, thank you very much.
Instructions, and when Jesus asked Cain, where's your brother? He said, am I my brother's keeper? We all are brother's keepers. And I was in law enforcement, I'm a firefighter, I was in the military, and I've seen that if police had a number, but there's a lot of good officers, they had a number where they was not retaliated like I was to call, and it was a safe zone, then a lot of stuff would not get swept under the rug. You know what I'm saying? The police need a safe zone because they're out there scared, and if you got your partner, he's bad. You going to tell him to get hurt, right? So the police need a safe zone, and the public needs a safe zone.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Dale Pop.
And where do you live, Mr. Potts?
I actually live in Cincinnati. I work here in Mobile, that's my dad.
Well, thank you for being here. Anybody else have a question or observation?
Can't hear you.
I'm hoping that this board can actually change by getting out the wait on it. We'll be in Alabama. Allow the message to go out among the people that.
I just got a message from City Council. You guys, we need to adjourn. Yeah.
Got to have, come out in those communities, go around. You gotta connect with the different generations. Not get rid of the old ones.
Thank you. We didn't get you to say your name and address, Ms. Sharkey. Did you say?
I'll provide it.
Sure.
Under the same address, 15 Trotters, 1507 Ward Circle. Hi.
How you doing?
So, what's this last observation? I recognize that possibly one or two of you served on the previous board, and your appointment was made at least 3 weeks to a month ago. If I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. Did none of you receive any resources, any information from the council or from your previous experience sitting on the board on how to conduct these meetings? It's been a month, and I know it takes time to set up these boards, but it seems that whether you're using parliamentary procedure, any other type of organizational structure that you, Mr. Mark, has taken the initiative to facilitate, I feel a little disconnect, and as the gentleman up front said, there's no input for public opinion, whether that be online. But COVID's real. You know, you can be virtual, but there needs to be some type of way that people can take questions, submit paperwork. Because I mean, was that Jess Rich, the councilwoman? It seems like you guys don't have any powers, and she doesn't want you to have any powers. So the least you can do is have your facts. Because they don't care about feelings, they need facts, they need cold hard numbers. So just please think about that. You know, I know you guys are gonna take here once a week until you get your foundation set up, but I see no bylaws, I mean, I see no type of structure. I just don't want this to turn out like last time where we have these ministers and these very docile people sitting on board just because of their professional experience. You know, whether or not it's good or bad apples or a good or bad citizen, you guys need to actually have the teeth to make these change. You know, I recognize some of you. I recognize some of you work in this community. I know you have the potential. Don't just come in these meetings and just sit. You know, whether or not you're affiliated with South Alabama to make multi-millions of dollars, or you've worked with the city, you've been an attorney, you know, for powerful people, like, this is your second chance. Don't mess it up. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, thank you, Ms. Fowler. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
I want to make a statement.
Please, go ahead.
I share your sentiments, and thank you for coming today. What you said is very important. But I want you to have some comfort in knowing that, this is new for me. And I got placed on this board, and I accepted the appointment because of the work that I do in the community. You know, there are several people here that tell you that I've been to the marches, I've been, feeding the community, I donate my own money. I work with kids, I do a lot. And, if you follow me throughout the several years, I know the last 10 to 14 years, that's all I've been doing. And I don't advertise that, because I do it from the heart. And I'm very passionate about it, so, and I think that a lot of these members that's here, I know Dr. Richardson, I've known him for a little while, but I can tell you that all of us have communicated outside of this, well, several of us have outside of this meeting today, and we have the same goals and we have the same visions, and I can assure you that we're gonna work hard and do what's necessary to bring on a change, because we understand the load that's placed on our shoulders. And none of us are getting paid for this, we are volunteering. And we were passionate about this. See, I was born and raised here, you know, I'm ex-military. And I've done a lot in this city, like I say, I'm committed. I just want you to know that. And that's pretty much all I have. And you can hold me to that.
I want to applaud Ms. Trotter for her passion and her sincerity, because it's real.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It really is.
I'm sorry. How you doing? Sabrina Bass. And I would just like to chime in on Ms. Trotter, and thank you for that statement, Ms. Trotter. But I would actually say that I definitely can sit here and we live in the same district. Definitely is a committed person in the community. Matter of fact, you have a project coming up in Saraland that you're volunteering for, that deals with really huge. And Dr. Robert Richardson, very well known in the community, Ms. Williams, retired from the school system. And I think that this committee, my personal thing is because I know you guys' names and what you do out there, that you're taking this serious. And I know we need change out here, and I think that they put the right group together to work for the citizens and as well as officers that are trying to be happy with the citizens. So, me, myself, because I know you personally, know your stance and your goals, I have faith that you guys are going to do the work that needs to be done after in the community. And thank you for your lifelong work.
Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Yeah.
I'd like to thank her as well. She and I both were serving on the Human Relations Commission for the city and county of Mobile, so she's a hard worker.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of good input.
And to echo, maybe you got here late, maybe you didn't hear this, but the thing I'm most impressed about this board, this council, is that all of these individuals have made a commitment to being here face to face. The word that kept being echoed over and over was being sensitive and empathetic to the community, citizenry, the police officers, and that wasn't just singularly expressed by one individual. It's been repeated over and over since we've been here together.
Yes.
So I'm encouraged by that, given the fact that for some of these folks, it's my first time meeting.
Yeah.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, citizens, stakeholders of Mobile, Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I commented about this maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago to the council, and my questions were in response to their take on the power and authority that you all would have as a body. Now, instead of going into that, because I know that you all are waiting for another meeting to discuss the matters that are in the ordinance, what I'm going to say is, in these coming days, certain citizens, I know for sure myself, I'm going to be submitting documents to this body. Now, the council, and I believe it would be fair to say from Councilwoman Gregory's call, they're not expecting too much to be changed about the authority and the power that's given to this body. All right? I just want to know, from a personal stance, as members of this council, when you find information out about things that are happening in this city, and you learn that it is not conducive to the laws,
That's right.
the code, the state, or the Constitution of the United States, I just want to know what, as members, will you do to ensure that this is something that is going to be reflective of a high quality of life for the city? Because, I mean, I have police officers in my family, I have fraternity brothers as police officers, college friends, all this stuff. Every cop is not bad. But there's a lot of stuff that is swept under the rug in this city. And a lot of us deal with it, I mean, on a daily basis. On a daily basis. And so, we're going to be sending materials to you for you all to investigate. Now, from my understanding, the mission is always to create a better relationship between citizens and the police. But I believe that it would be imperative for you all to still petition to this council to ensure that you have authority beyond that, so that we can bring to the light these instances that are happening. That is the only way we're going to build this bridge between the community and the law enforcement.
That's right.
This dates all the way back to peacemakers, and if we're going to be technical and serious, slave catchers, and now all the way to law enforcement assistance. That does not mean that we can't have something that is sufficient for all people. I believe that we should have peacemakers within the community. But if we're not going to address it or make it transparent, I don't know what is the reason for us to collect the video. Heard the sentiment. I appreciate people taking the time because you're not getting paid. A lot of us who are in this work, we haven't seen a copper penny for the work, but we are still doing it for other people. So the only thing that I would like to offer is, knowing that this information is coming forward, I pray that you send these senators to the council and that you address them in a manner that it improves quality of life for all people, not just select few citizens that have certain regard for my elected officials. So thank you for giving the floor to my council.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I should respond to Mr. Hill.
Yes.
But before I do that, are there any other questions? Because we are trying to adjourn. Any other questions? Mr. Hill, you may not have been able to attend some of the other meetings that were the genesis prior to this particular conveyance, but I assure you that Mr. Richardson made it abundantly clear that his expectation is that we would fulfill the existing mission of the ordinance, which addresses many of the concerns you expressed. And insofar as anyone may have expressed some level of docility that would be emblematic of the activities represented in this council, he absolutely conveyed to all of us that were on that call, should you hear something that is worthy of investigation, bring it to the council, and they will, in fact, act upon that and direct those people that they have a responsibility to direct, relative to the administration and or the police, to respond. So, you may not have been there to hear that, you may not know that, but just be clear that that has already been addressed.
Mr. Chairman, I can just have a slight response. I have attended each of these, meetings, and even the ones that were on Zoom, when this was being formed. And so I have statements from all the comments that were made from council.
So are you in agreement with what I just said, or are you not in agreement?
No, what, I'm just wanting to clarify, so you can understand where I was coming from.
Oh, I do, I understand, that's what I'm saying.
This is what I mean. For weeks, months, years, information has been submitted. Like the power that the council has is to go beyond an investigatory piece that might be within law enforcement. That doesn't matter if you've already put in their hands every piece of documentation that is needed to understand what's going on. So we're gonna have a body that is separate from the council, that is supposed to improve these relations. I just want to ensure that in that ordinance, y'all are gonna reflect something that actually tends to those needs of information. The stuff that you need, or that many people will present, at least I can speak for myself, you you don't need an investigatory body to go and do it. It's gonna be word for word, verbatim for what's happening. You're gonna have the complete documentation. The issue is something gonna get done.
Well, Mr. Helms, to conclude this point and not too fine a point on it, it would be disingenuous for you to suggest that this group having assembled for the first time is going to be reflective of historic, years-on behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, or actions. What I would say to you is give us a chance to do what is necessary that says it's going to be done. And you know what? I can't be judged on the history, behaviors, or attitudes that existed prior to my being on this board.
All right, then we're going.
Okay.
I'm just offering you, I know it's coming in the
And continue to offer it. I want to encourage you, Reggie, absolutely. Please, Mr.
Thank you.
And one thing I want to add to that, you know, like Dr. Richardson just stated, you know, this is new for many of us that's on this board. However, what's not new to me, and I can only speak for myself, is the struggles that happens in the community, the needs of the community. I've served with the police's floors, I've served with the sheriff's floors, so I understand both facets. I understand how both need improvement. And so with that said, I can assure you, because my character is everything to me. I would not be sitting in this chair if I didn't care, if I didn't want to see change in this community. One thing I can assure you is that transparency will happen. This is not just a pacifier. And if you was in the last Zoom meeting, you would have heard that was the statement that I made. I don't want this board to serve as a pacifier.
Yeah, you just said it.
So, what I need for people like you, and I appreciate, I share your sentiments, but at the same time, I do need you to work with us. And let's try to find ways that we can bridge that gap to work together. You know, everybody have ideas, but at the same time, we have to understand that a lot of these issues that plague the community as well as the officers, they're not going to be fixed in, you know, a few days, because we have generational issues, generational problems that have to be addressed. And so I need for everyone that's on board and that's willing to work with us, like you taking time out of your schedule, you know, be a little sensitive to that. Because at the same time, I do want you to know that you have somebody that's sitting in this chair and that's sitting in these chairs that are going to go to bat for you, but not only for you, but for this community, for the officers, for our community as a whole. Because we all in this together, whether we want it or not. And so our goal is to try to make this a better place for each and every last one of us. And so in order for us to do that, we can bicker and complain all day long, or, you know, but we have to work together. And so that's why a lot of the things that I do, and I can only speak for what I do because I know what I do, but I do it from my heart because I am passionate. And well, like I say, just to close it out, you know, I do want you guys to know that this board is serious. This is not a joke. Nobody on this council takes it for a joke. I can assure you that. I don't know what happened in the past, but I can only speak for now going forward. We are very serious about what we're doing, and I can promise you that if my name is on this, if Damian Marks Sr. name is on this, I can assure you that I will do my job.
And I feel the same way about every other member of this council. They're just as strongly committed. Look, this ordinance currently says we're gonna meet once a month. We've already modified that and said we're meeting every week.
That's right.
So, I mean, you know, but hey, make sure you send me some stuff, Reggie. You got my number. Okay. And I know I ain't gotta worry about you, right? All right, I'd like to entertain a motion for adjourning this meeting. And we want to thank Ms. Weaver for staying 30 minutes past our 5-minute curfew.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Have a second.
Second.
Okay, Damien.
So moved. All right. Thank you, so much, Lana. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That was good.
And listen, we're gonna do better, okay?